An entire world is ready for you to start your career teaching the path to wellness.
Mastering the science of mindfulness.
And the art of coaching.
To help clients achieve mental, emotional, and physical betterment of life.
Through movement,
nutrition,
recovery, and regeneration.
Because impacting one person impacts a family.
Impacting a family impacts a community.
And impacting a community impacts the world.
Become an NASM certified wellness coach.
Hey everyone, welcome to our Strong Mind, Strong Body podcast. I'm your host, Angie Miller, and today we are going to talk about a topic that I actually love talking about. It's about side hustles. I feel like as fitness pros, we are very dynamic as a rule. We like to deep dive into lots of different things. We have a variety of interests and we love to help people. That's kind of at our core. And so, especially during the pandemic, when everything changed in the fitness community and all throughout the world, I think we discovered that we need to find ways to pivot and build our platform. And so today I have a very special guest. His name is Josh Gonzalez. He is an NASM Master Instructor. He also is owner of the Push Code. And when I thought about covering side hustles, I was like, Josh is the guy, because I feel like Josh is the ultimate side hustle guy. So I'm going to bring Josh in and have him introduce himself. How you doing, Josh?
What's up, Angie? Side hustle. That's a heck of a term.
Well, I feel like you are the king of side hustles, and you invented side hustles before side hustles became the in vogue term. So Josh, I've had you on here before, and I know a lot of the fitness community knows you. They've seen you at Optima. They've seen you get around that. They've seen you at lots of different things. You probably have taught a lot of the certifications that a lot of them have taken. And just for those who didn't see you last time or who haven't met you at Optima, give us a brief version, because I know you've got a long, very dynamic career. We'll talk more about that, but give us a brief version of how'd you get started in this fitness space?
Okay, so I'll keep this short. So 97 started in the fitness field. After college, I got a little part-time job working for a ladies' personal training studio. From there, I kind of realized that I kind of wanted to go out on my own. From there, I approached a local country club, and in that country club, I was able to get a deal where I pretty much used one of their old card rooms and installed their first gym in that facility. From there, I just traded services. So I worked there, I staffed it, cleaned it, and I got free rent. And there's a saying, as far as this is a side hustle lecture here. So there's a saying, is like, you go where the money is. So when I first started personal training, I'm thinking, okay, who has more of disposable income? And it's got to be people that possibly work at a country club or are members of a country club. So I went there, and it went very well for me. From there, I grew that business from maybe like an 800 square foot card room to like a 2,000 square foot banquet hall where I had a full gym set up. And from there, in 2008, I opened up my first brick and mortar business. I developed my first group training program there, which has been a very big plus. From there, I changed my whole theory on how to work, or I changed my public. So instead of just doing weight loss and fitness, I moved into a market where I thought was needed for my community. So that's probably one of the biggest things that I look at as far as side hustles. I look for things that our community may not have and how I can maybe fill that gap. So my gap was there was very little athletic trainers around. A lot of kids that needed personal training as far as their respective sport. So I was able to grow my business in that area. I became studied a lot in the art of sport development and athletic training. And now I own another facility called Athletic Performance of Texas, where we primarily work with athletes, but we do engage with a lot of adults of our personal training and our group format. So I will see roughly anywhere from 100 to 200 kids daily come into our gym that work out with us. And then I started my first franchise business. So I started the Push Code, and the Push Code is my latest endeavor that I started right before the pandemic, and the pandemic did slow me down. I did have to take like 10 steps back, but now we're regrouping and hopefully moving in the direction where I can start selling these gyms.
Awesome.
Where we are
So,
now.
it's interesting because you started at a ladies' gym, and then as you said, you decided, hey, I'm going to go where I think there's going to be opportunity. So you rent this small space, which grows into a big space, which then I think kind of gives you not only the financial means to start your own facility, but it also kind of probably built your courage up, that you had enough of an audience, you had enough of a community, enough people who wanted your services that you could open your own gym. And then you transitioned into athletes, which really I think is the driver of your passion, is working with athletes. And now the Push Code gives you that opportunity to do more than that, but to also service, like you said, groups of people, kind of bring in that group fitness aspect, that fun factor. So
Yeah, you got to remember is that you got to figure out who you like to work with and what
Yeah.
population you want to target. Initially, I think all personal trainers have to go into business as far as, hey, I'm here to, as far as make people stronger and weight loss. That's our main category that we have to specialize in. But after that, you get kind of pushed into a category of either working with weight loss, seniors, and then what else? I really never enjoyed working with the senior population too much, just because I move so fast and I'm hyper all the time. So I had to really kind of scale down my attitude. And working with athletes really gave me an enjoyable experience on a day-to-day, hour-to-hour basis. So I really enjoy that avenue. And I still enjoy all these kids daily.
yeah, you do. Actually, you wrote a kid's book, didn't you? You
I
wrote
did.
a
I did.
kid.
So several years ago, I guess that was a small side hustle that I wanted to get on target was I wrote a small kids fitness book. And I learned that process of, the writing, how to get somebody to illustrate it, and then from there to publishing and all that. But and that one still has several chapters that I haven't tackled yet, but I will eventually. I don't know exactly when I'm going to get to it, but that one still has a lot of possibilities. But it's
You know
there.
what? And I have to change that verbiage a little bit. You said a small book, but I don't think there is anything such thing as a small book. I think even if we reach one person, you discovered that you love working with athletes, you love working with kids, you found that passion, you wrote a book about it. I think that's pretty cool. And it is a side hustle. It was a way of you taking what you love and giving it a new voice, because it's, now it's the voice of a book, and kids who are going to open up that book and learn something about the sport or learn something about athleticism or fitness. So
Right.
I bet you've got a lot more chapters to write there. So, all of this going on, you've got your athletic training facility, then you started the Push Code, you wrote your book. I think what a lot of people think when it comes to side hustles is, yeah, that sounds amazing, but where do I find the time? Like, I would love more fluid income. I would love to, pay off loans or invest or whatever it is that people want that extra money for. Because everybody's got different goals. Some people are still wanting to pay off student loans. Some people are like, no, I want to invest because I want to get a big facility. So, but the big thing is, I've got all these ideas, but how do I find the time? How did you carve out the time? Do you sleep?
I sleep some. That's one thing that I probably don't do enough of, but I'm okay with it. If I can get 6 hours, I'm good. As far as the time, listen, personal trainers and probably everybody, we have time. We have time to do this. It's all about making the time in your schedule and prioritizing that time to work on that project. And you have to make a list. You just got to make a list. So in the mornings, I know I have to get here at a certain time to get the gym open and train my clients. But I know I'm going to have 2 or 3 hours there where I'm going to devote some time to something. Okay, so I leave 30 to 45 to an hour there for me to be able to work out. But then I've got 2 hours where I need to prioritize some time in order to tackle some new projects. And this is strictly the personality of the person. Now, I get, and I think I talked about this last time we did this talk. We talked. When things are going great for me and things are just kind of in cruise mode, I get nervous. I don't like not doing things or have things planned. But when I come up with an idea and I start working on the project and I develop my timeline, I get excited and I get ultra motivated to work on that project very quickly. So the way I develop the time frame to find the work is I start to prioritize the steps that are needed to get it going and get it finished. Starting the idea is the best part of this for me. Once you start the idea and you get it going, that initial concept is the most exciting time for me. After that is what we call work, right? We have to work, but the work is where you actually see the fruits of your labor. So on the push code, when I wrote this program, as far as like something to compete with Orange Theory and Barry's Bootcamp and all these other programs, I knew kind of what I wanted to try to tackle as far as problems that I saw in those programs. And I developed this program probably in less than a half a day. I knocked it all out. Now the process of me still building the brand and getting out there, it's still work. We still have projects we have to finish to get it done. But the daily grind of getting it going and make sure that I'm on task to finish what I need to get done daily, that's something that I have to tackle every single day. And I make sure that I have time to get it done. And my list that I develop cannot be 20 items. It can only be 2 or 3 items that I will tackle daily. So that's the one thing that you have to do when you develop these tasks, make sure you get it done. If you have 20 things on a list, trying to get done with 1, 2, or 3 may be extremely difficult. And then you look at the end of the day, you still have 17 more. You feel like you haven't done anything. That's not the way to do it. So you get 1 or 2 things on your list, you knock it out, you feel accomplished, you tackle the next 2 the next day, and on and on. And before you know it, at the end of the week, it's all done.
So I want to jump in here. A couple of things that you said I thought were really, really good. So first of all, I'm talking to Josh Gonzalez. He's an NASM Master Instructor, and we are talking about fitness side hustles, which I think is a really powerful topic right now for all of us in the fitness space because it is changing so dramatically. And I don't think the verdict is out on exactly where we're going in this new space after the pandemic. So one of the things, Josh, that, I had asked you, what about time? And you said that we have time, which I agree. I think that time is about time management. We all have the same amount of hours in a day. It comes down to values and how we want to spend our time. But the other thing that I heard you say was you found out that part of the process that you get the most excited about. And you and I are a lot alike on this. We get the most excited about the invention process, the conceptualization, and sitting down and starting to think about what it might look like. When you start to get into the center of it, the real where you're walking through mud and it's step by step, that might be the part that you don't enjoy as much. But I think what I want to say to all the fit pros out there is I think you do have to discover what you enjoy the most. Some of you are not the idea people, but you're the people who want to take the idea and walk the idea home. And then some of you are the idea people. And so I think that you have to figure out which side you are. Are you the idea person who loves to just start new things, but you don't want to get into the mud and take them home? And I think it's okay. But like you said, if you don't, you can either do one of 2 things, I think. You can hire a person to help you. So if you're in the mud and that's not the part you enjoy, you can hire a team to help you. Or like you said, you kind of have to figure out how you function. You have to take 2 to 3 things each day and work on those. Because somebody said to me recently, so much of imposter syndrome and so much of feeling where people start to feel like they're not being successful has to do with the fact that they visualize the end. And because they're not at the end, they get frustrated and feel like an imposter, or they get frustrated and they want to give it up. But her idea was exactly what you're saying. What if you only have to do a couple of things every day? And that's what determines your success.
Yeah, that's so critical because, at the start of any project or any day, you want to get so much accomplished. But if your list is so grand that you can't even get through the first quarter of it, you're going to feel let down. And then you're not going to feel like you've accomplished nothing. You're going to go home feeling like, you know what, I still have to do so much work. And I'm not the person that takes work home. I never have. I said that to myself a long time ago. I'm not going to do any work at home. So when I'm done at 5, 6, 7 o'clock, I'm done. I'm not going to do anything else when I get home. I start my next day. I have a few things on my list. I get it done. Then I can actually work on my other things, like my other parts of my business, not just work on one thing.
Yeah, I think that's pivotal. I think you're right, and I think it does boil down to that because I don't know about you, but I still get paralyzed by my list being too long. I still fall into those traps of feeling like I didn't accomplish quote anything when really it's because I kind of over expected of what I could do in a 24-hour period of time. So
Right.
I think you really have to break that down, or you have to hire a good team of people who can kind of get you where you stick and then help you pull it out of the mud and kind of take it to the next step.
Yeah, and I
So
did that exact thing come pandemic, right? So after the pandemic, we had to kind of, and you said we had to pivot and figure out how fitness will work with everything being closed down or people not coming into the gym. So I hired someone that specializes in online training because I'm an old guy, right? Almost 50 now. And I had to figure out
excuse
how to,
me.
yeah, I'm almost 50, crazy, right? But we look good, right, Angie? We look good. Um, but I had to figure out how I can market myself just like these young people on social media because they love social media, right? They like to have their information online.
Mhm.
And so I hired a guy and he showed me a system and I followed it step by step. And it was a brand new process that I had to learn. And by the end of the program, he said, Josh, if you do this to the T, you can make $20,000 extra a month. And I said, okay, let's try. And if it didn't work, Angie, it worked like a T. And that was an extra side hustle that helped me get through the downward movement of gyms during that pandemic. And it's something I had to learn. I had to pivot, and I had to study from someone who already knew how to sell online.
Yeah.
And that was a new market that I'd never really targeted before because everything for me was in person and they knew by word of mouth and they would just constantly bring me people. But I did have to pivot.
Yeah, absolutely. And you were willing to hire somebody and you were willing to say, this is not something I'm good at. And I'm with you. I mean, social media is like my axe to grind. It makes me anxious. I
Mhm.
try to get on it. I try to put my business on there, but never will I be as good as people who absolutely love being in that space.
Yeah.
So I think you have to figure out where you need help and you have to figure out where you are, where you have your, where your limits are. So I know Josh recently, so we've kind of talked about this whole time thing. So again, I'm talking to Josh Gonzalez. He is an NASM Master Instructor. He's also owner of the Push Code, and he owns a training facility in Texas. Josh, I feel like invented side hustles before they became a thing. And so we are talking about as Fit Pros, what do we do? What kind of side hustles can we do? And Josh, I know you and I, some of our side hustles are similar. We both are master instructors for NASM. We both like to educate, speak at conferences. I do a lot of writing. You do writing. Some of those similarities are similar. I know recently also you were traveling. I think that you traveled with somebody, one of the Hollywood elites, and you were able to kind of pivot and go that direction too. So
Right.
I would consider that a side hustle. That's not something you're probably going to do every day, right?
Right.
So what was that all about?
It was good. So I did have to. I was able to train a gentleman for a movie that's coming up. That's be coming out next year, and it was a side hustle. Now the reason I could do that though was my ability to have in place a facility, a group of people that could actually take my workload. That way I can get out. Right. So this is the one thing that most trainers need to understand, that if you're a one-on-one trainer and that is your work, I have to be in the gym to make money. You're going to have to have some type of side hustle in order for you to not have a drop in income when you decide to take a vacation, or if you get sick, or if you just want a little bit of a break. You got to have some kind of income coming in. So you guys that are new trainers out there, if you are doing personal training and that's all you have, you're going to get to the point where you're either going to top out in the amount of money that you make because you can only work so many hours a day, or you're going to have a drop in income when you decide to take off. So you got to have something built in that's going to be able to bring in money while you take off. So that's kind of like the whole principle of a corporation, right? You got to have, if I decided that I want to take a week off, I can have my other trainers take my load. Income is still coming in. I'm still getting paid. but I don't have to be there. I don't have to be there. So side hustle one is you got to figure out how you can make money or add money into your account even when you're not working. Okay,
Yeah.
that's your first hurdle to overcome. And how do you do that when you are doing personal training in a corporate setting, right? And that's where online training comes in, right? You can do your whole online media work where you're trying to sell programs or some type of online training. That's a lot of work, but it's good work to do if you are a one-on-one trainer, right?
Yeah. And I'm going to add to that. I think that also means that because yes, you can online train when you're on vacation, but for me personally, I want to have my content already pre-filmed, pre-recorded. I don't want to take work with me on vacation.
Right.
So that's where I think having that content online and having it available just to your clients is really important. So that, like you said, you still have income coming in, but you are not strapped to a chair or a facility, because we all need time away. Otherwise, like you said, you tap out. You get tired of working with people. There's only so much of you to go around. So yeah.
And that's going to
100%.
happen to all of us. And that hurdle or the monotony of people, I'm just going to say the monotony of people. You know, we got into the business because we love fitness. We enjoy people. We enjoy teaching. But let me tell you what, when you do this for about 20 years, all three of those are going to change. You may not enjoy fitness near as much, right? Sometimes I don't. I may not enjoy people a lot. I mean, I just like, hey, man, I really don't want to talk to you that much today. But we've got to figure out always how to pivot and bring different types of income stream that you are good at. Now, there are several businesses that I've gotten into that are not fitness related. And I had to pivot and relearn that. And I'll tell you what, I enjoy that so much. And one of our colleagues, you know, Mark Spryzer, he did that exact same thing, which is the complete opposite side of fitness. And I think he's doing a great job and having a lot of enjoyment in this new venture he's going into. But you have to pivot. You always got to try to figure out, what can I do extra? So some good points or good things that you can always add into your side hustle if you're a new trainer, if you're just doing one-on-one trainer. I think one of my very first side hustles was just selling supplements. Okay. Selling supplements. I mean, I got in with the company and I bought supplements. I put them in my gym. I said, hey, you can buy this right here. It's just this, it's cost this much. I didn't make a lot of money extra, right? I didn't make like maybe $1 or $2 off of every product, but still over the end of the month, it added up to some. You can do it online now. If you do have an online website, other side hustles that you can possibly get into. I did do merchandising, you know, that you have to have it on site, and people like to wear your logos and all your apparel. That's an extra side hustle. I know a lot of these Instagram models and fitness models, that's one of their biggest side hustles, right? They'll brand. All of a sudden they have their own line of clothing. People start to rep because they want to support that person. So that's an extra side hustle you can get into as well. It doesn't always necessarily have to be fitness. The online market is there, and you can make a lot of money online. You just got to learn how to do it. And this is where it is crucial to figure out who can help you develop your brand and teach you exactly the right way, because there's a lot of right ways. And tell you what, there's a lot of wrong ways, and you don't want to go the wrong way, because you're going to waste time, you're going to waste money, you're going to get frustrated, and you're going to fail. So you want to be able to make sure you get the right information out. That way you start on the right foot. So it's the possibilities out there, just depending on how much you want to get into.
And I think you're right. I think it doesn't even have to be fitness related, but you mentioned a couple of them. I think clothing lines are huge right now. Oh my gosh, they're everywhere. It reminds me of the old Tupperware days. But anyway, the clothing lines are huge. Supplements are big. But like you mentioned, it may not even be anything fitness related. It could just be that you want to step completely outside of fitness. I like to finish down furniture. I have a local designer, who is like, you should start doing this for other people. It really just depends on what side of you do you want to draw from? Do you sense yourself getting burnout on working with people? Do you sense yourself running out of new stuff, and you just need to discover a different side of your brain and how you navigate and what makes you happy. And also, I think it's key to figure out, is your side hustle money, like my mom used to call it mad money, just extra money that sits around, or is your side hustle money actually necessary? Like you have to pay off loans, or you need to start investing because you haven't started building any money toward retirement. So that's also going to dictate, because how much do you want your side hustle to make? Is it a side hustle that you're going to scale? I mean, you're building businesses that you're going to scale. So you're not just building a business to build a business, you're wanting to build a business to keep it moving, keep it growing. And so that's not going to be everyone's goal. Maybe they don't want to scale. Maybe they just want a little bit of mad money.
Right. They need to scale. They need to scale. We got to think big, don't think small. But yeah, you always got to pivot. And you got to pivot. Like I'm in the transition pivoting mode now. So I have 4 side hustles that are coming up right now. They're in the mix. I've got certain patterns going on, but the side hustles are going to allow me to pivot to a certain point where I can do outside work and fitness, but I don't have to necessarily be in the gym. It'll be more at a sales and traveling and being able to promote different type of fitness businesses in a different way. So it'll still keep me in the gym, but it may take me out of the floor of the gym. That makes sense?
Yeah. Yeah,
And
absolutely.
I'll tell you one of the craziest side hustles that I have going on right now. I enjoy going out to eat. And about 5-6 years ago, I brought in this chef. And I said, hey, my town doesn't have a chef. I want to do a pop-up restaurant. So I started researching pop-up restaurants, right? Brought in this chef, flew him in, paid him amount of money. I promoted it, sold 60-something chairs at a X amount of money for a 7-course meal, paid him an X amount of money. I pocketed a good bit of change from it. So now this pop-up restaurant thing is a side hustle that I'm do fairly often now. And it's fun. It's fun.
Yeah. Well, I think so, Josh. Again, I just want to, introduce you. I'm speaking to Josh Gonzalez. He's an NASM Master Instructor. He is the king of side hustles. And I think, there's been a few really key takeaways here. And that is just discover what it is that you love the most. Allow yourself some time and some opportunity to grow outside of what you do on a day-to-day basis. Decide how much income you actually want to bring in. Decide if you want to scale it. Know where your sticking points are, and get a team to help you if you need to, and have the courage. And like we talked about, if you don't have the courage, then hire a team who can kind of give you the step-by-step process so that you don't feel like you're alone. Because at the end of the day, a lot of this business, we are alone. And so, and we have to remember that we only know what we know, and we don't know what we don't know. And so you and I already said the whole marketing piece on social media, it's not our thing. So we had to hire somebody. So any last thoughts, Josh, before we go? Anything you want to share with any fit pros out there about these side hustles, or any last kind of final?
Yeah. Here's a big one. You got to think long term. You have to think long term. Don't think now. Because now will never let you build something that you can do 2 things with. 1, make enough money where it's an actual business, or 2, it's a business that you can eventually sell. All right. So that's the big part, because at the end of this, like any business, you set it up, you build it, eventually somebody needs to buy it and sell it, right? You buy it, then you walk away with a good lump of money. So if you guys are really interested in the fitness field and you are good at what you do, you got to remember, you got to be good at what you do, and you're young, go ahead and invest the money and purchase something that you can start to build. And over the next 20 years, you have ownership in property or a brand that you can eventually sell, and then you're done. That makes sense?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think it's just about being able to take a chance on you. And I feel like I just sang part of an ABBA song, but I think you have to be willing to take a chance on you, and you have to have the courage that it's going to be worth it in the end. Yeah. So, Josh,
if it doesn't work, it's okay.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter. You fail, go on to the next one. Try again.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, again, we only know what we know, and a lot of times it's in those times where we fall flat on our face that we learn the most. So, Josh, I appreciate you coming on, talking to us about all your fitness endeavors and sharing some insights on fitness side hustles, because to all of us fit pros out there, I think that we need to get our hustle going and keep ourselves dynamic and as relevant as we can be in a space that continues to grow. So to our NASM and AFA community, thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week.